see if it.
Sure.
Okay, so yeah, it looks like it is recording, right?
Yeah.
So, okay, it's recording. Okay, so well, my name is Cecilia Méndez, and I am the director of the program in Latin American and Iberian Studies. I am a proud director of the program. We are so happy. Happy is a small word for something so big that I feel so big. To welcome everybody to this very special occasion to celebrate more than 40 years of master's thesis and achievements of graduate students and also undergraduates, as we have discovered in this history. So we are celebrating the program. And for that, I want to start by thanking three people who have worked really hard for this to be possible. Lisa McAllister, Christian Aquino, and Amy Hauser. I also want to thank my colleagues Juan Cobo and Juan Pablo Lupi for their support and advice throughout this road to get this finally to this stage. And I start now by welcoming our very special guest, Chancellor Henry Young.
Thank you, thank you. You could hear me, Cecilia?
We can hear you perfectly.
Good morning, and I'm just so pleased to be able to join you in this Zoom today. Welcome, everyone. I would like to first thank our Director of Latin American and Iberian Studies, Professor Cecilia Méndez Méndez. Thank you for your wonderful idea to organize this. And also, I want to say thank you to our former director, Professor John Foran. And I want to say thank you to our acting Dean of Humanities and the Fine Arts, Mary Hancock here. And also thank you to all of our colleagues, mentors, students, and the supporters for joining us here today. This is a very special day, and I also wanted to say a very special welcome and a thank you to our proud alumni. And during the unprecedented this pandemic year, it is particularly meaningful for all of us to be able to connect in this way. Sorry, I got some interruption with myself. So we've been able to connect in this way and to celebrate this unique and a very special community of ours. This is our program's inaugural alumni reunion, as Cecilia just said, celebrating 40 plus years of masters from 1980 to 2021. Over the next 2 days, we'll have the opportunity to learn about and celebrate the wonderful, wonderful achievements and the contributions of 19 alumni who graduated between 1985 and then 2018. We'll enjoy so much for you to share your memory when you were on campus during those days, and also the wonderful adventure you have experienced since your graduation. Such a happy, there's nothing happier than sharing these experiences and the thoughts. So congratulations. Your alma mater is very, very proud of you. We love you. Our campus has a long and a rich tradition of interdisciplinary scholarship and research. This program is a shining example. Small is beautiful. And in fact, our program in Latin American and Iberian studies is the oldest interdisciplinary program on our campus, and the only one in the UC system that offers an Iberian component. So I remember in the year 2013, I had the honor of joining some of you, if you still remember, at the Mosher Alumni House when I was built. When our campus hosted the UC Comparative Iberian Studies Symposium. So we are so proud to be a leading center of education and research on Latin American and Iberian studies. So you have, you're going to have a wonderful 2-day program ahead, and I wish you a very, very enjoyable and a memorable reunion. We look forward to the day when this pandemic is over. And this is just the first time we are going to welcome you back to our campus again. In the meantime, please take good care. It is my honor and a pleasure to talk to you today.
Thank you very much, Chancellor Yang. Now I will give the word to Acting Dean Mary Hancock.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. Thank you, Chancellor Yang, for the very gracious words of welcome. And thank you, Professor Méndez, for inviting me to join you here today. I am delighted, as Chancellor Yang is, to be able to recognize the anniversary of Latin American and Iberian Studies. I hadn't realized that it was 41 years. And yeah, that's really, really impressive and a really, wonderful record of continuity and growth. The program has grown in size and impact, I think, as all of you are testament to, and credit is due to the energetic work of its directors that include Professor Foran, who is here, and most recently, Professor Méndez. What's been really impressive have been the successful efforts to build community among students and faculty, and particularly this past year when it's been so challenging to realize and experience community, through these virtual means that we have. But those efforts that you've made, are bearing fruit today, and they're evident today with all of your presence here. So welcome to all of you. As Chancellor Yang has said, Latin American Iberian Studies program here is really a true gem on our campus. And even more so now, as we come to understand California as a multilingual and multicultural space and part of a hemispheric space of exchange and migration. And I think the Latin American and Iberian Studies program is it sort of brings that realization home to us in our scholarship and in our, cultural and enrichment experiences on campus. And all of you have helped shape this way of understanding ourselves. With the rigorous courses that are offered in LAIS and the superb programming that has been undertaken, the program has been a leader really in advancing this knowledge and really kind of linking across campus to a number of different departments and programs and, creating a very meaningful web of connections. It's also been a conduit for scholarly and creative careers that many of you have pursued, for professional advancement and for that community building on campus and beyond. So I'll close now. I want to be brief because I know you've got a lot of, wonderful events coming up, but I will close by wishing happy anniversary to the program and to all of you here, continuing students and alums who embody so beautifully the ideals and possibilities of the Latin American and Iberian Studies program. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mary, Dean Hancock, for those words. Now it's the turn of my colleague, Professor John Foran, from the Sociology Department, and he was a former and founding director of the program, and that's why he's here. Welcome, John.
Thank you, Cecilia. Thank you, everyone. Great to see your faces. We all look a little bit different from my recollection, but that's what our anniversary is all about, a reunion is all about.
Some gray hair, eh?
Yes. I'm just laughing, Cecilia, because you said even in introducing me, I've written my remarks out. I tend to do that. So I've written out, my name is John Foran. I teach sociology and environmental studies here at UCSB, and I became director of LAIS in 1996. 15 years into what is now a 40-year history of the program. Over the next 2 days, we will be collectively celebrating the occasion with a rich set of conversations, reunions, and reflections on this multidisciplinary, polyvocal, and deeply meaningful set of experiences. It was tremendously exciting for me, a newly tenured professor of sociology, to have the opportunity to work with the diversity of faculty, staff, and especially students who earned undergraduate and graduate degrees in those 4 years, which marked the end of the 20th century. We all learned a lot, and we all grew a lot, as should happen at a university. I've watched LAIS continue to fulfill its role over the past quarter century, a role which is essentially to immerse ourselves in the experiences of the millions of people around the world, especially, but not exclusively, in Latin America, extending to Spain and Portugal, Angola and Mozambique, the Philippines, and the Latinx inhabitants of this country. Experiences which can only begin to be approached through the open lens of what a program like this one has to offer. It has been an experience which touched my heart and affirmed my commitments to learn from others, to connect the dots of the intersecting crises the world now faces, and to act now, based on all of this, to preserve that world for future generations. I want to express my gratitude for the precious gift of being part of this adventure, which culminates now, for the moment, in this anniversary occasion, and which I'm confident will continue to thrive as this community grows and shapes the many worlds, as the Zapatistas like to say, in which we live and love together. Thank you and welcome.
Thank you very much, John, for those words. And now the program follows with Amy Hauser. She is a student in the undergraduate program in Latin American and Iberian Studies, and now she has been accepted to the graduate program, to the master's, and she has been researching the history of LAIS, and these are her results. Welcome, Amy.
Thank you. Thank you, Professor Méndez and Professor Foran, Chancellor Yang, and Dean Hancock for your kind words. I'm going to share my screen. Okay. The Latin American Iberian Studies Program, an ever-evolving interdisciplinary program. The origins of Latin American Iberian Studies, Hispanic civilizations. The Latin American Iberian Studies program at UC Santa Barbara was originally known as Hispanic Civilizations, which awarded the first undergraduate degrees in 1957. The first master's degree in Hispanic civilization was earned in 1974, followed by one in 76 and larger cohorts beginning in 1980. The Hispanic Civilizations program was structured as a collaboration between the History and Spanish and Portuguese departments. Professors Frank Dutra and Philip Wayne Powell from the History department were the initial collaborators for the program. Later on, Professor Victor Fuentes from the Spanish and Portuguese department took on the directorship. Professor Fuentes recalls the program's initial focus was on the Iberian tradition and influence in Latin America. And he, like many past and future directors, sought to cultivate the diverse interests of the faculty and student body by organizing events on campus. Professor Fuentes proudly shared his fond memories of the Festival del Cine Latinoamericano, where he invited famous film directors from Latin America to present their films in Campbell Hall. The event took place in 1987, and attendees included Miguel Litin from Chile, Paul Leduc from Mexico, and Jorge Alitriana from Colombia. Passionate faculty and staff members have continued to shape the program and work to expand its presence on campus and within the greater academic community. The Hispanic Civilizations program set the foundations for what would later become the LAIS program, and it is where its history began. The name change. During the mid-1980s, the political atmosphere which followed the Chicano movement and other similar movements, there was a push on campus to transform the Hispanic Civilizations program into a broader, more diverse, and timelier program. UC Santa Barbara Latin Americanists in history, Spanish and Portuguese, anthropology, sociology, political science, and communications collaborated and brainstormed about how they could change the program for the better. Professor Sarah Klein from the History Department recalls that the intention was to create a Latin American Studies program that benefited from the many departments on campus and boasted a larger portfolio of areas of study. Professor Frank Dutra from History, a specialist in medieval, early modern Portugal, and colonial Brazil, advocated for the inclusion of Iberian in the program's name. And thanks to him, UCSB's program was reborn as Latin American and Iberian Studies. The inclusion of Iberian speaks to the diversity of the faculty, has shaped the interests of graduate students, and generated well-rounded scholars from the undergraduate program. The first degrees, undergraduate and graduate, were awarded for Latin American Iberian Studies proper, granted in 1990. This served as a testament for the hard work of the new Latin American Studies faculty members, Latin American Iberian Studies faculty members, which began many years prior. The first director of LAIS, Professor Klein, looks back on the difficulties securing funding and an administrative headquarters for the program. Her efforts, supported by fellow LAIS affiliates, culminated with the designation of an office space in Phelps Hall and a permanent budget for the program. Professor Klein reminisces on the proud moment when she ordered the sign, which remains mounted on the door, indicating the home of Latin American Iberian Studies. Institutionalizing LAIS. The LAIS program from the beginning had daring goals and dedicated staff and faculty. However, the program faced institutional level struggles. Under the directorship of Professor John Foran from Sociology from 1996 to 1999, the program's bylaws were drafted and passed, which are still in use today. Additionally, Professor Foran developed the first full-time equivalent hiring plan in hopes of attracting and supporting affiliated staff and faculty, which continues to be an ongoing project. Professor Foran was fundamental to the solidification of the LAIS academic program. Under his tenure, the curriculum for graduate and undergraduate studies was revamped to include an introductory course for undergraduates, LAIS 10, additional upper division courses, LAIS 101, 102, 190, 194, and 195, as well as the graduate courses, LAIS 202, 203, 293, and 294. An honor section was also added to the pre-existing LAIS 100 course. Professor Foran's efforts worked to institutionalize the LAIS program by securing funding, creating administrative continuities, and expanding the course offerings for undergraduate and graduate students. After Professor Foran's term, there was still work to be done to institutionalize the program. Professor Silvia Bermudez from the Spanish and Portuguese department, who served as director from 1999 to 2002, expanded the graduate program through a partnership with the Spanish and Portuguese department, which provided TA-ships and funding for an additional 4 to 5 students. This partnership allowed the program to grow by attracting more graduate students who would contribute to the growth and sustenance of the program, the grad students. Over the course of the program's history, 121 master's degrees have been awarded, including Hispanic Civilizations degrees. Alumni of the master's program have gone on to pursue diverse careers in and beyond academia. Many of the alumni have continued to work in academia, becoming professors, academic coordinators, and program directors in institutions across the country and beyond. LAIS alumni also work in diverse fields beyond academia. Alumni have gone on to become prosecutors, artists, high school teachers, community organizers, administrators, and have also found careers in the business world, in state consulates, and NGOs. The diverse and broad careers of the LAIS alumni speak to the strength of the interdisciplinary program, which provides students with a wide range of knowledge and exposure to current issues, history, and cultures. During their academic careers at UCSB, LAIS graduate students have produced unique and distinct theses covering topics across Latin America and Iberia. Here you can see the LAIS theses by region. They have spoken directly on issues in Mexico, Brazil, the US, Chile, Guatemala, Cuba, Peru, Portugal, Venezuela, Argentina, El Salvador, Spain, colonial New Spain, Ecuador, Colombia, Bolivia, Uruguay, Guyana, Honduras, and Nicaragua. Theses have also used various disciplines such as history, language and linguistics, literature, music, political science, economics, psychology, sociology, theater and dance, and film and media. And focuses have included gender and sexuality, race and ethnicity, education, land reform, social movements, revolution and rebellion, political economy, music, dance and film, literature and language, immigration, religion, state violence and dictatorship, history of the conquest and colonialism, politics, identity, crime, sports, and art and architecture. The diverse interests of the LAIS MA graduates speaks to the diversity of the program and its affiliates, as well as the benefits of an interdisciplinary approach which continues to broaden. LAIS Today, testimony from Professor Cecilia Méndez. Since her arrival on the UCSB campus in 1997, Professor Méndez from the History Department has always been passionate about LAIS. In 2018, Professor Méndez became the program director with high hopes of revitalizing the program, increasing LAIS's presence on campus and beyond, and supporting a thriving LAIS community. Professor Méndez's passion for our program has fueled the impressive accomplishments of her term, with the help of Professors Juan Cobo from the History Department and Juan Pablo Lupi from Spanish and Portuguese, in the expansion of LAIS sponsored events and conferences, as well as the revitalization of the academic program. Additionally, Professor Cobo is currently serving as the first Vice Director of LAIS, a new position created by Professor Méndez. Perhaps the most proud accomplishment of her term is the tradition of tertulias, which she initiated in 2018 with a roundtable on the rise of fascism in Brazil, co-organized with graduate students in global studies. Tertulias, taking inspiration from soirees where intellectuals, men and women, gathered to talk about politics and forbidden books in the early 20th century, describe the informal gathering of faculty and students to discuss and reflect upon events and issues of current relevance in Latin America, Iberia, and beyond. Tertulias not only foster discussions among the faculty, but both encourage and rely upon the participation of graduate and undergraduate students. The events have fostered discussions with scholars on campus and abroad, particularly shining a light upon scholars working in Latin America who have been frequent guests in the tertulias. While the discussions have continued and even expanded during the age of COVID-19, Professor Méndez laments the loss of the social gathering aspect of the tertulias, which increased awareness of the LAIS program on campus. Despite the pitfalls of the COVID-19 pandemic, the LAIS program has seen impressive improvements over the past few years, which continue to support and attract students and foster engagement with the affiliated faculty. LAIS has been resilient during the pandemic. For example, the second International Graduate Conference, Borders, Power, and Transgression, was held via Zoom, allowing for the participation of graduate students and scholars from around the world. This conference, originally scheduled for spring of 2020, but rescheduled due to the pandemic, follows in the tradition of the first International Graduate Student Conference, Violence, Memory, and History in 2018, and the first All-California LAIS Undergrad Conference, Displacements, Peoples, Politics, and Rights in 2019. As her tenure as director of LAIS comes to an end, Professor Méndez is proud of the progress made and hopeful that LAIS will continue to grow and prosper as a site of academic formation, intellectual debate, and political engagement. The 40th anniversary of the MA program. Today, we are commemorating the 40th plus anniversary of the first master's degrees awarded by Hispanic civilizations in 1980. This celebration was postponed last year due to the COVID-19 pandemic. And this celebration allows LAIS faculty, staff, alumni, and current students to reflect upon the growth and development of an ever-evolving program. In the past year alone, LAIS faculty, staff, and students have had to adapt to function via virtual learning, remote work, teleconferences, and webinars. The program has continued to prosper during these uncertain times, even seeing an increase in graduate applications. The 40-plus-year-old master's program and the 60-plus-year-old bachelor's program have seen great changes in their tenure, but the passion, diversity, and talents of the dedicated staff, faculty, and students have remained consistent throughout the history of UCSB's Latin American and Iberian Studies program. Thank you.
Could not have said better, Amy. That was amazing. So I want to say just a couple of things before we start, because it's time to start the next panel, but it was so worth it. I want to thank Chancellor Young. I want to thank Professor Foran. I want to thank Dean Mary Hancock. I want to thank all the alumni. I know you personally, many of you. I came here in 1997. And I want to thank our staff. I want to thank the undergraduates who are here. I was so proud to see the list of accomplishments on your bios that speaks so highly of you. And it makes me feel really proud of having taken a role in the formation of students in this program and now the directorship. Just a couple of things that I wanted to say is that the purpose of this was twofold for me when I decided to undertake this celebration. Is first to celebrate, of course, but also to show possible paths that you can undertake for our undergraduates and graduate students in the university when you get a master's degree. All the things you can do with a master's in Latin American Iberian Studies. The best example is the conference. So this reunion. So I hope that many undergraduates are coming, or some of them are here. And if you know friends from the undergraduate community, please let them know, show them the program, spread the word, because a great deal of this effort we're making is for the undergraduates and graduate students, and to show different career paths within and beyond academia. So again, welcome everybody, and we can start with the rest of the program. Now, how do we do with the break? Any suggestions to the team of, we were supposed to start at 10:30 and we have no break. Yeah.
Cecilia, so, Gabriela has to leave promptly at the end of her panel, so I would suggest no break.
Perfect, let's go, no break.
Can you stop recording, Cecilia?
Yes, I will stop recording.